Hey, welcome in everybody. This is the Fantasy Blitz podcast, powered by Sports Lounge Media, and sponsored by the mobile brand. Tonight we got down South Philly with us. Sorry for the delay. We had to make a change of plans. I had an interview set up tonight, which just got postponed, but we had to change a directory. So um, appreciate you down South Philly, man. First of all, how are you feeling?
Man, I'm great. I'm great. I'm still on a high from what happened Sunday. And always happy to be here.
I can I feel you there, man. I had told Chosen and Sunshine last night that I don't think it's actually like fully clicked yet.
Not yet.
I've gotten a little emotional about it, but I don't think it's actually just finally clicked of what transpired and how it was handled. But hey, listen, the season's over. Now we're focused on the off season. It's just that time of year, whether it be draft class. But before we start drafting, right, we have to start looking at the free agency
Yep.
class. That part comes first, and that's most of the time really depends on what you do in the draft. Is what transpires in free agency. There's a couple teams with some big cap spaces this year. New England being one, Washington being one, the 49ers being another. There's a couple teams that could make some really big splashes this year. In my opinion, one of the deepest free agency classes is in recent memory. So um, we'll just jump right into it here. Um, we're going to go in alphabetical order, so it kind of makes it easier for everybody else. Just for me in general, look, Arizona, right? A lot of these teams that we're going to talk about, that me and Down South are going to talk about here, they're going to have a lot of needs, right? What this is kind of doing is this is giving you two options. I'll give you two options myself. If Down South Philly has a different opinion or a different player that's a good fit, by all means. But we're just going to give you some players that we think that would take this team to the next level. Some teams that may not be a championship, that just may be a division or a playoff berth, or but it gets them a step higher than what they did this season. I'll start with Arizona. Big things for them. They have to have a defensive line. They have no defensive line right
Hmm.
now. On the offensive side of the ball, last year they kind of went the wide receiver route and Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that pick worked out very well for them. They seem comfortable at the quarterback position right now with Kyler Murray. James Conner is still there in the backfield. Um, O line's not bad, but it could be better. But the D line is a big thing for them that screams exclamation
Right.
point for me. Um, two people I had. It's an obvious need for them, so I went both defensive edge rushers. And we as Philly fans, we got to realize that Josh Sweat earned a bag
Yeah.
on Sunday. He earned his way to a big contract, and he's going to get it. There's a few places that I think he could go, but I think Arizona is one of them. And another player looking for some redemption, I think the Hassan Reddick is going to
Mm.
be looking for a change of scenery, and I think Arizona would be willing to take that stab on Reddick. So, any takes on that?
Man, do I miss the sun Reddit. But no, you're right.
Hey,
I
I,
think
I do too. I was kind of hoping that um, the Jets were going to kind of almost give us the trade back
yeah. Yeah, but I
and
think
say, never
I
mind,
think
let's
if
just
we
redo
if
this.
if it
But
was any way that we could have, we would have. Especially knowing
yeah,
what all transpired. But I mean, hey, it ended up working out for us for sure. But no,
knowing what Nolan
right.
Smith was going to come into,
There was no
and yeah,
way. Yeah.
absolutely, I can 100% agree.
But no, I like both of
Um,
those moves you said. I would add that Milton Williams probably would be a good fit there too if we couldn't figure it out. Just he's
yeah.
been lights out since we had him, and he also earned a bag this year. So uh
Didn't Milton play with Jonathan
yeah.
Gannon?
Hmm.
Yeah. So there's that similarity there. That already that comfortableness. So I
I
could
just
see that.
Yeah.
him and Josh. I can agree. We'll just move on. Next team, Atlanta. A lot of these teams have D line
Yeah.
problems. You're going to see a lot of defensive linemen being moved around this year. The draft class is deep. The free agency class is okay. There's a lot more edge rushers now that Garrett, Bosa, and Max Crosby have all come out and want a change of scenery. But interior wise, there's really not a lot of big names out
Yeah.
there. Arguably Williams may be the biggest. Um, but for Atlanta, listen, I think that edge rusher and corner
Yeah.
are two of the biggest things. They have their young quarterback, hopefully, which is in their mind a franchise quarterback, in Michael Penix. I think the offense is fluid. Bijan Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Drake
Solid O
London,
line.
agent, solid O
Mhm.
line. I think the offensive side of the ball could be
Yeah.
good. Kyle Pitts, I don't think they're really going to miss
Yeah.
him per se, but I think the defense definitely needs help.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think we're pretty familiar with a corner named Rasul Douglas. Played for us a couple years. I think that he's honestly made a household name for himself in Buffalo, and I would like to see him maybe earn a chance at a CB1 position somewhere, and I think Atlanta is that spot. Um, for the edge problem, I think it's going to be something that they hit in the draft class. So I have a veteran signing move here, just a 1 or 2 year move for Khalil Mack.
I like that.
Nothing spectacular, but it's going to fill these holes, give you some veteran players.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Next team, Baltimore. Excuse me. They are going to lose Ronnie Stanley. Stanley, excuse me, from the looks of it. So that tackle position is going to be a big hole to fill. In my personal opinion, one of the best, besides Stanley, one of the best free agent tackle players this year is going to be Cam Robinson. You're going to see his name on this list a couple of times. I think he's a raw talent. Went from Jacksonville to um, Minnesota this last year. I thought he played well enough. He may even return to Minnesota. We don't know yet, but again, I think he's going to get some eyes. I think he's going to get some phone calls. Baltimore should be one of those teams. Um,
Kansas City might want him
out
too.
of out of out of the Miles Garrett, Max Crosby, Joey Bosa sweepstakes, I kind of combined all three of those into
Mhm.
one. Because I do there's a list of teams that I think are in the
Right.
hunt, and I do think that Baltimore is in the hunt for one of these three
They need him.
guys. I mean, these guys want to play for contenders. Baltimore is one of those teams. I think that they are maybe a top edge rusher away from taking the AFC. They definitely have the offense and Lamar and Henry. I think they'll just they'll adhere to the wide receiver threat as well. But I think the D line here, man, I think that again these guys want to play for contenders, and I think that Baltimore's definitely in the running. Buffalo. This is the number one spot that I see Milton Williams going to.
I can see that.
Um, Buffalo, we know what their offense is. Josh Allen does it all, blah, 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 whatever you want to say. But the defense is arguably the reason they weren't in the Super Bowl this year. I think that is going to be a big focus. I think they're okay in the linebacker position. They are going to lose Rasul Douglas. They can also touch that with a DJ Reed,
Ooh.
right? There's a DJ Reed. There's Charlton Davis. There's some corners that I really feel like can do some damage in
Yeah.
Buffalo. Um, but I think that Milton Williams, he's going to get paid.
Yes.
I think it's a good fit. Maybe him and Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver can get healthy. It could be something worth watching.
Man.
Carolina. Carolina is one of those teams that's got so many holes. But I think they are coming up a little bit. Um, being in Tampa's division, I don't really see them being a threat anytime soon. But I think they're going to, as Panthers fans, I think that they'll be doing a lot better than they have of
They
recent.
did play well down the stretch,
Um,
so
yes, yes, they
they
did.
look
Bryce Young's coming to his
yeah,
own,
so
man.
I'm glad that they were able to figure out that he could be that guy.
Yeah. One move for me that could really push them over the top would be a signing like Chris Godwin.
Yeah, they definitely need
You
another
know,
weapon.
getting that third wide receiver threat, helping out Adam Thielen. You had a lot of role players last year, and David Moore, and
Leggett,
I think Xavier Legetti is
he's serviceable.
he'll
I
be
mean, he's
fine.
young.
I mean, he's yeah, exactly. Give him a couple. He's not no Quentin Johnson. I think he's better than Quentin Johnson in my opinion. Hats off to him, but I think adding another wide receiver for Bryce Young would be
Yeah,
phenomenal. I mean, they have great tight ends, young tight ends, and Tremble and Jatavion Sanders, and I mean they have a great tight end
they run the ball well with Hubbard.
position. But yeah, Hubbard, right? Hubbard, and I don't know if they hang on to Miles Sanders or Blackshear. I'm not
I
sure.
think they could go either
But
way with Sanders.
Jonathan Brooks, we don't really know what Jonathan Brooks is going to
Mm-mm.
do. He went back down with the same injury, and it's not looking good. But I think that maybe like a Chase Young,
Hmm.
Chase Young could come in and maybe be the leader, the top guy on the defense, and I feel like a Chase Young player type esque would feed off
Mm-hmm.
that, kind of like he did
New Orleans.
in Washington
Oh,
early.
I see. Yeah.
He was the only cat in Washington, right? Um, Chicago. Chicago is another one of those teams I think is. I feel like they're more than a couple pieces away from success. Success. They're in a tough division. Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota. I don't think those teams are really going anywhere. Maybe Minnesota, if anybody. But for me, they have to focus on the offensive
Yes.
line. For me, a lot of what Caleb Williams went through last year was a part of Caleb Williams'
Mm-hmm.
fault. Holding on to the ball too long. There's a couple things that you can name, but the offensive line wasn't
Right.
great. With Ben Johnson now as the head coach, I think that should be a staple point for
Yeah.
him. I mean, obviously in Detroit, having a top three O line definitely helped Ben Johnson. Why fix what's not broken for you?
Right.
So
Swift
go to what you
Swift is
know,
more than
and
capable. And he may be
yes,
familiar with Swift. I don't know if they were there at the same time or not, but Swift is more than capable at the running back position.
yeah, I know. I'm not. Now that you say that, I'm not sure.
Because I don't know how long
Um,
Ben Johnson was
because
there.
he was in Detroit before he came to
Right.
us, right? Yeah, I don't think Ben Johnson was. I mean, he definitely wasn't a big name
Right.
at that point. But yeah, so listen, two names that I had pop up. I think Ronnie Stanley would be a huge, 1-2 year deal.
Mhm.
He is like kind of up there, a little bit older on the older side, but listen, he's an All Pro tackle, and you take the talent where you can get it.
Absolutely.
Um, Moving into the inside, I would say Trey Smith from Kansas City. Um, I don't know that Kansas City is going to be able to pay him what he's worth.
They better figure
I
something
think
out.
they have some other holes that they got to figure out. But yeah, I mean, they could very well lose Trey Smith in free agency this year. Chicago is one of those teams
Yeah.
that is going to pull people away with
Hmm.
money. It's not necessarily the talent. They have the talent, in my opinion. I think they have questionable franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Romeo Dunze,
It
Cole
kind of
Komet.
built like from the outside in versus like what
Correct.
good teams do. So
Yes, absolutely. I think their defense is pretty
yeah,
solid, but again, I think that Ben Johnson is going to bring us some life to the offense, and to focus on that, he's got to focus on the offensive
I agree.
line. Cincinnati, big ones for me. The edge rush, I can kind of get away from. I feel like you can draft somebody again, deep draft class with the defensive line. Trey Hendrickson led the league in sacks last year.
Hmm.
Let's not forget that. I think let's pump the brakes on the needs for an edge real quick, and let's focus on the fact that I think their biggest priority is re-signing T. Higgins.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. He has said, Burrow has said, Chase has said that they would like to keep the core together. They would really be willing to take pay cuts if needed.
We'll see.
But I mean, T. Higgins is predicted above $30 million
That's
a
what I'm
year right
saying. And this is the
now. Yeah,
same year that they got to pay Chase.
correct.
And he's
You can't
definitely
franchise. Did he get franchise tagged last year,
mm,
or was that Higgins they
that was
franchise
Higgins.
tagged?
Higgins played on the
Yeah, I
tag.
thought so. Yeah, so you know what I mean. He already played on a tag. He deserves his
Yeah,
bag. I mean, I'm not sure that Cincinnati can give
they
it to him
can't.
and pay
Yeah.
Chase, and yeah, it's not
And plus they need a running back.
gonna. Well, yeah, I like
I
Chase
like him
Brown.
too, but
I
I
do
don't
like
think
Chase
he's a
Brown.
RB1 though.
He needs a little bit of help. I'm not gonna lie there. Big one for me though. Listen, we all know Cincinnati's biggest problem is the
Absolutely.
defense. They could just have that little bit of defense, man. They probably could have went on a deep playoff run this year. The offense is off the chain. Burrow, Chase, probably the best duo stack in all of
Hmm.
football right now. But DJ Reed or a Tre'Davious Ward would be a huge signing for Cincinnati right here. Getting somebody of that caliber to lead your defense, start off with the piece of now we can go and draft these positions instead of focusing on corner. I feel like they need a lockdown corner. They need somebody that's going to come in there that's going to give the D Hops problems, the
Hmm.
Devonte Adams, the AJ Browns, the not necessarily stop anybody, but the fact that you have a legitimate CB1,
Also, can
and
you
that's
not start 1 and 4?
yeah, and that's again, it's when you go down your season and you're averaging, I think at the end of the season it was like 28 points per
Hmm.
game on offense. And the later stretch was more than that. It was like
Yeah, they was
closer to like
killing it.
35 points per game,
It didn't
and
matter.
you're still losing games because your defense is Swiss
Hmm.
cheese. So that has to be a big focus for Cincinnati this year, whether it's probably both free agency and the draft class.
That Super Bowl
Um,
appearance is getting old.
that's it. That's it. Cleveland, big one for me. This is my first one of um, a prospect in the draft. I think that Cleveland has to do everything that they can to not miss out on a dual Carter.
Mhm.
Um, Whether it's having to trade up to one to make sure you get him, or banking that Tennessee's going to take a quarterback like I think they
They
will.
should.
But you cannot pass on a generational talent like this, especially when you are going to lose Miles Garrett. That's something that you can arguably replace in losing Miles Garrett, and that's a lot to say.
Mhm.
I feel like Abdul Carter has to be a priority here. Again, if you have to trade up to one just to make sure, it is what it is. But you're getting the best, in my opinion, the best player in this draft by far. Another thing for Cleveland for me, secondary. Secondary's got to be a big thing. The defense has got to tighten up. They got so many holes at quarterback and defensive line. It is what it is. But again, we have to start knocking things off the checklist during free
When
agency.
can they get
We
out of
still
that
have a
contract?
draft. Absolutely. And once they get out of the Watson contract, which arguably they are trying their hardest to do right now, they have a lot of money to spend, guys. A lot. Next team, Dallas, who is negative in the cap space. So there wasn't really a lot that I could do,
Right.
right? There's too many questions about, are they going to trade Dak to free up space? How are they going to sign Micah? How are they going to extend CD? They're going to have to take some take some bites of a bad apple here a few times. And again, I couldn't really do much, but I do possibly see maybe like an Amari Cooper return. Cheap veteran could come in, do what he needs to do, maybe on a 1 2 year deal. Um, I think their biggest focus should be running back though. If they don't go the Genty route, which I don't think they
Mm.
will, I think Najee Harris is a good fit in
Hey,
Dallas.
it's not bad.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of maybe cheaper options that's not going to break the bank that they can move some money around and do something with. But being in the negative at the start of free agency is never
Hey,
good.
I love it.
So, hey, Mogul
What's good?
podcast
What's
popped on.
good?
He said, "What's the topic?" We're just talking about, man. We're just talking about team needs, free agency. All 32 teams upcoming. What their main focus should be, and kind of back what would push them over the top. So, um, next team, Denver. For me, obviously, biggest thing is getting Bo Nix, that other weapon.
Yeah.
Um, I think their running back room could use help. That's where I kind of saw Genty getting drafted. But if they don't want to go that route, there is one player that I think would look and play phenomenally in a Denver Broncos uniform, and that is Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Jones.
I
I think
agree.
Aaron Jones would add a lot to Bo Nix. If we're going to go the tight end route and draft Genty, which I also like, I think kind of like a Mike Gesicki. Just a
Yeah.
possession tight end guy that's going to make sure that he catches the ball, give Bo Nix a red zone threat. I think that could really, the defense is pretty solid. I don't think we really need to do anything to the defense.
Yeah, they got to take
Um,
advantage of his rookie year. Now that they know that that's their guy, yeah, you got to
yes,
go.
you have to build around
Mm-hmm.
him now. Sophomore, junior year of his, you
Got to.
have to build, make him want to stay. And it's you got one in Bo
Mm-hmm.
Nix, believe me. Next team, Detroit. For me, it's going to be this is one of the teams that's going to be in that Miles Garrett, um, Crosby, Bosa situation. I think again these guys want to play for
Mm-hmm.
contenders. I do, however, even though Detroit lost both coordinators, do think that they are going to be relevant. I don't think that they're going to be 14-15 win relevant anymore. It also depends on who replaces them, how this goes. But for me, they are in that sweepstake, and I think somebody like a Tre'Davious Ward. I don't want to say DJ Reed. DJ Reed's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
money, so I feel like DJ Reed can only go to certain teams. But a Tre'Davious Ward would I feel like would fit good in a Detroit. Um, we obviously know that they were the injured team last year, the team of the IRs. I think they're going to be looking for a lot of depth in this free agency and draft class. So
Yeah. I think they're pretty set at safety. So definitely CV.
yeah, who they
They
who they
got
got over there? Safety
Branch
Kirby
and
Joseph
Joseph.
and
Yeah.
Branch. Yeah, I think they're good for a couple
Mm-hmm.
of years. Green Bay, next team, Green Bay. Big one for me, corner. Corner has to be solved by Green Bay this
Mm-hmm.
year. Jair Alexander is either injured
Or just not
or
that
he's just.
good.
I really don't think he's that good. I don't. I'm in full agreement with you. I think that he is the most overrated corner in the game. I think again, Tre'Davious Ward, Charlton Davis, somebody has got to help out. I don't. I think Keyshawn Nixon is better than Jair Alexander. I'm not an Alexander fan. I think they have to focus on the secondary again. Maybe Russell Douglas.
Coming
I
back.
think he played a little bit
Mm-hmm.
in Green. Yeah, played in Green Bay there for a little bit. So I feel like secondary has to be a big thing. Next would have to be a wide
Yeah.
receiver.
A healthy one.
Another player I am not a fan of is Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed is not a wide receiver one.
No, no, he's definitely
Uh,
not.
he reminds me he reminds me a lot of a Debo Samuel.
Yeah, but when he's on the
Um,
field, he can be dangerous.
and that's why he reminds me
Mhm.
of a Debo Samuel is because they are only dangerous when they want to be. I'm not a Dobbs truster.
Watson
Datevion
is
Wicks,
always,
like
hurt as well.
Watson is always hurt. Yeah, I think they need a solidified wide receiver. And I think that this player needs a second chance after the way their year ended. I think Stephon Diggs in a Green Bay jersey would look
And
pretty
he's
good.
familiar with the division.
Um, you know, yeah, familiar with the division. Gives Jordan Love another target. You got great tight ends. Diggs is only going to take pressure off of Reed and Dobbs and Wicks. Obviously you got Josh Jacobs. They're solid there. I think that you focus on one side of each a piece on each side of the ball. I think Green Bay's in good spirits of how the year may turn out, considering the downgrade that Detroit has made, and Minnesota change of quarterback. It might be looking good for Green Bay. Houston being the next team, they have got to focus on interior
They
offensive
better.
line. Um, I think that center is probably the most needed. Um, you may not recognize the name. He plays for the Falcons. Drew Dolman.
Mhm.
He's one of the better centers. He's kind of mid age. I think you could sign him to maybe like a 2, 3, 4 year contract and get away with it. But he's a good center. Um, this is one of the teams that I think that T Higgins would blow the roof off
Man, him
of.
with Nico Collins,
Houston,
that would be nasty.
him, Nico, and
Tank
then
Dell.
you get Tank Dell. He's probably going to miss next year, but he's
Yeah.
young. He's going to be back.
I mean, they also got they
They
got Mechie.
Mechie, yeah, from
Yeah,
Alabama, yeah, and that's what I really do think that they just need that one
yeah.
guy. Um, you know, but they still have Dalton Schultz. They fixed the O
Nick
line. I think
Dog.
Stroud has a bounce back year next
Mhm.
year. I would probably vote right as of right this second. Probably comeback of the year is going to be C.J. Stroud. But I think if they need to give him another weapon though. Joe
If
Mixon is
as
is
long
kind of
as they can fortify their offensive line, everything else I think will take care of itself. Because I mean, we've seen what he can do
yeah,
when given time. Mhm.
absolutely, 100% agreed. Next team in that division, speaking of Indianapolis, big things for this. These are some players that I think would. I don't want to say take Indy to playoff, but I think it would give Houston a little bit of a concern. Tight end, safety, corner, wide receiver. Wide receiver is not really that interesting to me. I think they have Pittman, they have Downs, Alec Pierce. I think they have some serviceable wide receivers. Tight end, I feel like they're going to hit in the draft class. They have pick 13.
Okay.
But safety and corner really interested me here. I think that, and these two names kind of jumped off the paper at me when I pictured Indianapolis. Javon Holland is leaving Miami, and I think that if he went to Indianapolis,
Mm,
deadly. Another name, corner, Byron Murphy,
okay,
coming out of Tampa.
okay.
I think if Indianapolis really focuses on this defense, AR-14 has a better year, whatever it may be. I honestly really don't know what happened last year. It was just kind of
Oh, he
a
was
shit
tired.
show for him. Yeah, yeah. all the football he's been playing. But I think it is too early to give up on him. I mean, Daniel Jones got 60, 70 starts before and a contract extension before he got
Yeah,
booted.
nobody's giving them that much time
It's
though.
I think it's
They
too no. I don't
they
think
do
I
need
don't
to
think it.
figure
I
out
think
this year though.
this year I
Mhm.
think will be his ultimate test, if you will,
Mhm.
if they're going to stick with him or not. Next team, Jacksonville, and this is another team that just it's just there's just so many holes. I just you know what I mean. It's just hard to predict and say what it is. Um, I think tackle is going to be a big one. Obviously, losing Cam to the Vikings early last year. I think that maybe like a veteran player, maybe like Tyrone Smith, maybe fits in there. Um, but a big one for me, they have to focus on their secondary.
Yep.
If they're going to pick one position and pay that position out, it needs to be corner. Maybe they go after a DJ Reed
Yeah, because
or a
I think their
Charlton
front
Davis.
seven is actually pretty decent.
Their secondary, you think so?
No, their front seven.
Oh yeah, their front
Yeah,
seven is.
I think
Yeah,
that.
I
Yeah.
can agree. They get to the quarterback of Kuloan,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean I can agree. But if they fix that secondary, it only
Makes them
that
even
takes
better.
pressure off the offense for sure.
Mhm.
KC, big one. The left tackle position was a problem come the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
A problem. Josh Sweat 2.5 sacks. Nolan Smith 8 on the other side. Jalen Carter 8 in the middle. Milton 8
Milton
in the middle.
Williams 2.5 snack.
We didn't blitz the whole. It gets crazy to me because obviously offensive line is the problem. We
Mhm.
didn't blitz a single time on Sunday, not once. So that means our front four got to your quarterback for six
Half the
times, six
time.
sacks. So that doesn't bode well. Um, so I think you have to figure out that left tackle position, and that's where this Cam Robinson situation comes in. One of the younger guys in the free agency class. I think they can sign him to a multi-year deal, get him comfortable, and I think he would do a good job in KC. Um, one
Can't get no
resign
worse.
though, one resign that is so massively huge for Kansas City that it's not even funny. If Kansas City lets Nick Bolton walk,
Oh
Kansas
no.
City
Yeah,
Kansas City's
yeah.
in trouble.
Yeah, they can't let him walk.
They cannot let Nick Bolton walk, and that's
Nah.
that's a fact of life.
They know that.
I have Nick Bolton in a few other teams here that could get interesting, but Kansas City has to do everything, and that should be priority number one.
Yeah, he's the heart and soul of that
Absolutely,
defense
absolutely.
along
Next to
with
Chris Jones, but
next to
absolutely,
him, yeah.
yep. Las Vegas, Las Vegas, I got a little interesting.
Oh Vegas.
A lot of people are saying that Shadur Sanders is going to fall back to Las Vegas. I don't think that happens. I think that him and Cam Ward are both gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, after that, there is a large gap of quarterback talent.
Mhm.
Jackson Dart, Jalen Milrow are probably the next two, and it's end of first, maybe second round talent. So for me, what would be interesting is Pete Carroll, now head coach, goes for a quarterback like Sam Darnold or Russell Wilson.
Mm.
Sign that guy. Now, if he wants to go the cheaper route, I would say Russell Wilson. But if he wants a quarterback to work with and sign on a multi-year deal, I could see Sam Darnold getting that opportunity. Another one, you have to give this offense another weapon. I've been screaming that for the whole year. Brock Bowers deserves something.
Oh
Somebody.
yeah. Yeah, he's the guy right now.
I think this would be a perfect situation for a player like Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
Coming back from Tampa, need a bounce back year, going to Las Vegas. You don't even have to be the number one guy because they have Jacoby Myers, who's been
Right.
serviceable at wide receiver one. You come in, you don't have all the pressure on your plate because you have Brock Bowers, you have Jacoby Myers. You have a brand new quarterback, whichever way it goes, a rookie quarterback or a veteran signing, whatever it is. I think it's an ideal situation for Chris Godwin. Um, and like I said, Las Vegas needs another weapon. That's just a simple fact.
Especially if they're gonna go get one of these young guys out of the draft. They
Yeah,
gotta give him something to throw to.
exactly, exactly. Um, Chargers are next. For me, this is one of those teams that has to, again, a couple of the teams, but has to try to go after T. Higgins.
Yeah,
T. Higgins on the
they
Chargers
don't
would
have a
be
choice.
massively huge. I think in one more position that they really could focus on is tight end. I think that maybe Jawan Johnson, Mike Gesicki, who's the other one? Tyler Conklin. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
couple
maybe
ones, but
even the Pitts.
right, and that's Kyle Pitts.
Mhm.
Could be an option this year. So it's going to be interesting how these teams definitely turn out by week
But
one.
if he can't block, he ain't going to
Yeah, and that's my
he
problem with Kyle Pitts is he doesn't. He's more of a
finesse
wide
tight end.
receiver in my opinion. I mean he really is. It's just the way he plays the game. He doesn't
Well,
block well.
if he can't block, he's definitely not going to the Chargers.
No, no, they need blocking tight ends.
Yeah.
The Rams. This is a big one. This is a big one. Nick Bolton. If Nick Bolton can end up on the Rams, boy, that would
That
be a
would be nice.
defense that I might be concerned
Yeah,
about.
that'd be scary. That
Yeah,
front seven would be scary.
absolutely. Left tackle position, another question mark. Again, this is where the Ronnie Stanley, Cam Robinson situation comes in. There is a couple more options, but obviously those are the top two guys. You have some Dan Moores, you have some other guys, but these two are going to be the top two go getters in the tackle position this year. Miami losing Javon Holland. I would say safety is a need, and minus Javon Holland, obviously. The two options would be Cameron Bynum or Hufunga
Hmm.
from the 49ers. I think Cameron Bynum would be a good fit in Miami. Reminds me a lot of a play style from Javon Holland. And they definitely need to focus on that offensive line. They've
Oh
got to
yeah.
protect Tua. So I think a Ronnie Stanley, situation would be ideal for Miami as well. Minnesota. This one's going to be huge. This one's going to be huge. I think that in my head right now, Sam Darnold does not come back. They're going to ride the JJ train. Maybe make a funny meme and sign Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it is possible, right? It is possible for him to pull the Brett Favre, and so we're gonna go away from the quarterback situation for a minute. Um, I think they have to focus at corner. I
Mhm.
think Tre'Davious Ward, Byron Murphy would be ideal in Minnesota. But this is another spot that I can see Milton Williams going.
Yeah.
They need a lot of interior defensive line help. And again, that part of the free agency is not that deep. It doesn't get deep until the draft day. So again, this is one of the focuses. Mogul Podcast said Travis Kelsey too. For KC, I don't agree with that. The way that he left the field, the way that he carried himself, he is very close to being done.
Hey, I wouldn't mind him.
What's your opinion on that down south?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind him riding off into. Uh, I guess we can't call it the sunset, but
No, that's our sunset.
yeah. I mean, he doesn't have anything left to prove.
No,
He's got the
he's
rings. He's already got a Hall of Fame career.
yeah.
He probably just wanted to propose to Taylor, but not this Sunday.
No, we wouldn't let that happen. Um, boom, boom, boom. Where we at? Next team, New England. This is actually one of the first teams since Arizona that I see Josh Sweat going to.
They got a lot of
Like
money.
I said, Josh Sweat earned a bag on Sunday, and one of these teams, one of these big cap space teams, are going to pay him.
I'm
And
gonna
I
miss
feel
it.
like New England is a big spot for Josh Sweat. The next player for New England would be, I think they need some linebacking help.
And yeah,
I think of Bobby Wagner. You got Mike Vrabel taking over. He might want that veteran piece, that signal caller, to come in and really take control of the defense. And I feel like Bobby Wagner could be that guy.
Bolton could fit the bill too. I mean,
Bolton
they
could
got
be,
the
and like I
money.
said, It comes down to the bag, and I'm telling
Yep.
you, that's a lot of these teams don't understand. Oh, he'll come back. He loves us. It don't got nothing to do with love. Promise you that. Not when that money sign's staring at you in the face. Next team again. This is one of those teams, man. New Orleans, one of the teams that I can just start naming. Naming
Everything.
problems. But I think that one big one, they have to take pressure off of Chris Olave. They have to take some type of pressure off of him. Get him maybe into a wide receiver two position. I think maybe teams like a Stephon Diggs would be beneficial. I understand that they don't have the quarterback situation, but you know, ask Kellen Moore about it. I don't really know what
Yeah.
else to say
Yeah.
about
I
it.
mean, nothing. Ain't our fault.
No, it's not. So, next team, Giants.
Hmm.
This is another Sam Darnold team that I could see. I could see the Giants saying, we'll use that third pick on Travis Hunter, or we'll use that on O line, like a Will Campbell, and we'll go sign Sam Darnold for a year or two and enter
I
the
don't
Archie
know.
Manning sweepstakes.
I don't know. I don't think they can afford to pass up on a Cam Ward or a Shador Sanders.
It
They've
depends on
been
what
bad. They've been bad
what
for
they
so
think about
long.
Archie.
They've been bad for so long though
Oh, I know,
at the
I know,
position that
I know.
they can't afford to get if they botch
I know.
this, that'll be
Fully fledged
very
agreed.
Giants of 'em.
I had them taking Shadur Sanders just because of the desperation pick
Yeah.
of they that they cannot afford to
Mm-mm.
pass up on another one. So I mean I agree with you there. The Jets again, new coach, new quarterback. We don't really know the direction of this team or where it's going to go yet. But I
Mm-mm.
think offensive line, corner, big needs for them. Losing DJ Reed, right? That's not going to be you're not going to replace that at all.
No.
So I think your closest bet would be maybe a Tre'Davious Ward, a Charlton Davis, Byron Murphy, something along those lines. But again, DJ Reed is up here, and
Yeah.
everybody else is down here. He's arguably the best corner in this free agency and one of the best in the league. Now we get to Philly. Now we get to Philly. Um, the only thing that I'll touch on, I don't think that we spend a bunch of money in free agency. I really don't.
No, we don't need to.
I think our priority should be 1A, 1B, and that should be Bond and Becton.
Yep.
Um, I'm okay with letting Milton and Josh Sweat go just because of the fact that they've earned it.
Man.
They have earned the bag, and we cannot afford the bag. We just It just is what it is. Um, I do also have us in that Miles Crosby Bosa situation. I mean, if you didn't watch the Super Bowl, you saw Jason and Miles Garrett talk about the Eagles, and his whole world lit up. He was
Mm-mm.
all smiles about Philadelphia. I really truly do believe he
Oh,
wants to be
mm.
here. The price that it's going to cost, though, what
It
I'm
won't be cheap.
hearing is maybe a DeJean, maybe a
Hell no.
Nolan Smith Jr., a Jordan Davis, and I'm kind of like, whoa,
Nah,
The Georgia boys
I'm
are
out
off
on
limits here. Yeah,
anything outside of Huff. I'm I'm
that's my
out.
series. That's my no, not seriously. That's mine. Bryce Huff and two first this year and next
I'll say
year.
I'll give you the draft capital, but you can't have our young guys.
Yeah, no, you ain't getting nobody on this young defense, dog. It's
No,
just not happening. But yeah, those are the things that I think that we highly should be focused on. Bond and Becton,
we
maybe Rogers if we could get him here cheap. I
need
think you let
to
Sweat. I think you let Milton go.
we definitely need to draft um um Lane Johnson's replacement this draft and let him, go ahead and
Teach him
get
a few things.
acclimated. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
way, 2 years from now when if he's ready to leave, we already got in-house what we need.
100%. I can agree with that. I can agree with that. I think we will touch on that in the draft.
We
Um,
generally do. We
we
always
do. We
go.
generally our first two picks are usually in the trenches either way.
Yep.
So Pittsburgh. I think this is the next team that would be absolutely massively huge to be in the T Higgins sweepstakes. Um, whether you can convince Russell Wilson to come back for 1 or 2 years, or you decide to sign a Sam Darnold, or you decide to go with Justin Fields, whatever the way you may want to go, you're going to need another weapon. George Pickens, I just don't. It's just not all that.
Well, he
I
just got
think
some
that
growing up to do.
yeah,
When he's
he's a
not
good
doing
player.
immature stuff, he can be a great player, but
Yeah,
he just got to grow up.
he's definitely going to need some help. Names
Hmm.
like Calvin Austin the third, Van Jefferson, Van Skoranek, like that's not going to
Yeah,
get it done.
no, that's not a receiving core.
And I think that running back is going to be a big thing for them. I don't think that Jalen Warren is necessarily a running back one.
He's not. He's not.
And
And
Najee Harris leaving,
I
but
never was high on Najee Harris.
no,
Anyway,
I was not either.
he's the
They
boost.
could touch on in the draft. I could actually see a Cam Scatabo
They
being in a
could.
Vicksburg
They
uniform.
could possibly have their eyes on Gainwell.
Gainwell, yeah, I see, and I still don't think that that's a
No, it'll be committee at that point.
oh for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But hey, Gainwell again, another one of those players that I just think that I think he had his window a couple years ago when we had Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift, and now that we have Barkley, your window is definitely closed. And
Well, I mean, he's a RB2.
I
He's
mean, yeah,
definitely,
but I
yeah.
think that Will Shipley will be fine in that role too.
Oh yeah, yeah, he will.
I would think Will Shipley really has learned a lot from Saquon in the running style of
I think
things.
the valuable part with Gainwell is he also was good in pass protection,
I
which
can agree
is
with that.
what you need. You need that in a running back.
I can agree with that. Um, five more teams, and then we'll cut this out. San Francisco, biggest needs, offensive line. Your offensive line, in my opinion, is one of the oldest. Trent Williams, Drake Brindle's getting up there. He's like 27, 28. You got a couple old guys on the offensive line, but maybe keep the narrative and sign like a Ronnie Stanley.
Hmm.
I think the tackle has to be that right tackle position has to be focused on. Um, and I think also like they're going to have to pair somebody with Bosa. Um, this is another team that I could see maybe in the sweepstakes of one of the three. Maybe they pair up the Bosa brothers. Um, maybe
Maybe,
they maybe they go after Max Crosby or Miles Garrett. But I think a
but
cheaper option
I
for
think
them
that window might be closed.
would be a Khalil Mack.
That would be nice though.
Yeah. So a little bit cheaper option, veteran option, come in, get the job done. We go home. Um, Seattle. Seattle to me really hasn't had a good linebacker since Bobby Wagner.
Hmm.
I think that Nick Bolton would be a fantastic fit in Seattle.
Did they
Um,
end up with Ernest Jones? I can't remember if he
or
played for them
did
this year.
he was that before or after Tennessee? Because I know he played for Tennessee.
I don't know.
He got
I
traded
don't know why
somewhere.
I felt like
He,
I
he
felt like he was
Ernest
in
Jones was
Seattle.
on there at one point. I don't know if it's currently or if that's who traded him to Tennessee.
Gotcha.
But there was a couple
Because
teams that grabbed him this year.
I think he might have been with LA,
Yes, he was with the
the
Rams.
Rams. Yeah.
Yes. Tampa Bay. This is the last team that I see Josh Sweat going to. I think that Tampa Bay is an elite pass rush away from being a threat in the NFC. Baker, Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan's coming into his own. Kate Otten had a phenomenal year. Offensive line isn't that bad. Tristan Wirfs, they have a good interior offensive line. But I think they need to focus on their secondary. I think this is one of the teams that could possibly go and get a DJ Reed if they want to blow all their eggs and put all their eggs in one basket. But I think that a Josh Sweat would also be one of those picks. Bolster up the defensive line there for a little bit.
It's gonna be weird not to see him and Kelly Green next
I
year.
know it is, bro. It is,
Man,
but like I said, the man earned it.
can't
He
keep them all.
definitely he we cannot keep him off. That's not the point. Tennessee got a little interesting for me because Tennessee again is one of those teams that I think is as so many holes. It was kind of hard to pinpoint. But for me, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't go to Minnesota, this is one of the destinations that I see Aaron Rodgers playing out a year in. Is
I don't know
Tennessee.
if he goes to Tennessee though.
I just
He
I
don't
do
have it. He won't have anything to work with.
I don't, what contender can he go to this year besides Minnesota?
Yeah, that's true. There.
That he
That's
would
it.
that he that yeah, exactly. That's it. So that's why I think Minnesota's a possibility is because he's not going to want to go to the Giants. He's not going to
No.
want to go to, but I could see it. I think that Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, they have a defense. They have a decent offensive line. They have drafted an offensive line in the last few years. Um, I think their defense could use some help, but they played well early in the year. But I mean, if you're only a quarterback away, you got a 42-year-old veteran that's looking for a job. I mean, it's not
Yeah, he need
out of
to
this
take his
world
ass home.
questionable. But again, I like your point. Is Aaron Rodgers is not going to play for anybody but a contendership. And like I
Yeah.
said, I don't see anybody besides Minnesota. I just really don't. Last team, Washington. I think priority number one should be re-signing Zach Ertz. Zach
Yes.
Ertz has made it very clear that he wants to be in Washington. That's where he wants to finish out his career. All respect to him. He wants to play again with Jaden Daniels, which I don't blame him.
That was his safety
But
blanket.
I think for Zach Ertz's career and Jaden Daniels' career, I think they need to focus on re-signing Zach Ertz and getting him his top weapon back. Um, Another one would be they have to focus on the wide receiver position. Terry McLaurin has got to get some help. Deami Brown's not it. Zacchaeus not it. The running back room even is really just eh.
Yeah,
But
Robinson left some meat on the bone for sure this year.
yeah, Eckler I don't think is what they put out to be.
No, they
He's
need a
definitely
difference
washed up,
maker.
and I think that's where T Higgins comes in. I mean, Washington's got a lot of money, bro.
They got a lot of money, but I think they need to fix that line. If they don't fix that,
They do,
they
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 do.
don't
But I
fix
think
that, it don't
again,
matter
that's
who
where
they
a
get.
lot of money comes in. I
Mm,
mean, they're like top three in cap space. They have a
yeah,
lot of freaking money, and I think that if they could pay T Higgins 30-35 million a year, I don't
yeah.
see him saying no. I
I
mean,
think
would
we
you
put
say would
the
you say no to Jaden Daniels if you got a
that's
chance to go
fair.
play with him?
That's
I
fair.
mean,
I think to be fair, I think that was one of the places that he mentioned
yeah,
before the season started. But yeah, they need to fortify that line because we put the league on notice
yeah.
and they
It's going to be
realize that
a lot of
we're
people are going to
coming.
be addressing their O line situation this year
Hmm.
for sure. So, all right, brother. Well, I appreciate you, man. Um, that was a hell of an episode. I appreciate you.
No problem. No
With
problem.
my change of direction here, but um, so you said with Philadelphia, you said that obviously biggest needs um, Becton and Bond, and then outside of that, draft class wise, what I don't know if you've done much digging.
Eh, we definitely need to do edge, especially if we do lose Sweat like we're expecting to. And even if we do, somehow get one of those,
Right,
big
just
names out of
depth.
free
I mean,
agency,
we're big
we
on
need
depth.
that anyway. I I'm real big on just because I've watched a lot of SEC football. Um, it was a edge rusher, and I'm drawing a blank on his name out of
What team
South
is it?
Carolina. The Gamecocks, number
Um,
number 5, number 5. He's not a big name, but he had a great year. I think he I think he transferred from Georgia Tech and he played his last year
Hmm.
with the Gamecocks. But he definitely is a day two guy. And with us picking 32, the your big names probably are gonna be gone on day one for us. But he
Yeah.
should be there day two, day three type of guy.
I mean, I think, like I said, I think the two biggest position depth wide is going to be defensive line and running back, in my
Yep.
opinion. Um, so I think we should get a solid defensive lineman
Hmm.
at 32. I'm kind of looking at like Mike Green. Mike Green had a great Senior Bowl.
Yeah, but he's gonna be gone.
Um, yeah,
Now he could. We got lucky last year, but we'll
you
see.
couldn't have told me last year we were getting Mitchell and Dejean either.
Not no. I didn't
Um,
think we were gonna get either without moving up.
Yeah, but I think there's I think there's a couple guys because I mean quarterback's going to be needy. I think that a lot of the offensive linemen are going to go before pick 20. Like I think the only thing that's going to help us out is team needs are going to push everything back,
Yeah,
and defensive line is not going to be a hot commodity because it's so deep that people are going to keep waiting and keep waiting and keep waiting. And I'm telling you, man, I think we're gonna get somebody worth a fuck, and it's
well,
gonna
I
be it's
mean,
gonna
and
be
we
deadly.
can never count out Howie when it comes
No,
to draft day
no,
moving. So if it's somebody that he really wants, we'll figure that out.
absolutely, I can agree with you, brother. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna hop off here. Hell of a night. I appreciate you
Yeah, man.
stopping by, and I will hit you up about another episode, brother.
Let's do it.
I appreciate you.
Have a good night.
Fantasy Blitz podcast, down South Philly. Go give him a follow on his platforms. Down here at the bottom, you can find us on all the platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Go give us a follow, guys. We are powered by the Sports Lounge Media. You can also find them on all platforms and sponsored by the mobile brand. Appreciate everybody joining us. Have a good one.